Hello, Taurus, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. It's been very nice here today, although it's rainy. I feel like there's so many birds singing, and just feels like, oh, are we rounding the corner to spring? I'm so excited. I love summer so much, so I get very excited about spring. But here it comes. This will be your weekly reading for the week of March 8th through the 14th. During that time, we do have a waning gibbous moon that we bring in from last week, coming off of that full moon. That eclipse energy was a little bit intense. But waning gibbous is a really good time of self-reflection and rebirth. We're going to get rid of our bad habits and negative thinking and just continue to buckle down on those things that we're working on right now. So, and it is a good time. Here comes the third quarter. That's like the 11th and the 12th. And that's a time to, those things that we're working on kind of start to become habit and they come to fruition. And, we're attaining our full potential when it comes to those things that we've started during the last cycle. Then we have the waning crescent, and that's a time of stability and calm. And also, once again, a time to be thoughtful and think about how we want to grow when the next new moon is, that's coming up for next week. So think about that. It's just all in all a really good time for self-reflection this week and growing. So keep those moon energies in mind as you move through your week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Taurus. So, as always, please take what resonates today and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is expect powerful change. Well, that's pretty exciting. And that is a new moon eclipse card. So we just had a full moon eclipse. And that was some interesting energy as well. So these moon energies, and during eclipse season with the sun, the solar and moon eclipses, it's always an interesting time, just the things that change. I just even feel energetically like, wow, the world, like, take a breath. Things are constantly changing, and sometimes they're a little more intense than usual, right? All right, as I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you do take all of this self-reflection energy from the moon and get out in nature a little bit. So try to take a walk somewhere, find a beautiful park with a view, or if you can find some water, that's a really good. I always find, self-reflecting when you can hear just lapping waves, or even if it's just a lake or a creek, just water running is very good for that sort of energy. So just try to get out in nature if you can and just enjoy it a little bit. I know we've got some warm weather this week and I'm real excited about it. So that is my fun weekly reminder that you try to get out in nature this week. So, all right, Taurus, let's get right into this reading. I will stop babbling. March 8th through the 14th, expect powerful change. Your present energy is the Ace of Cups. So, whatever this powerful change is, it's about, your heart being open to something and being open to new thoughts, new ideas, new ways of being. So this is just you with an open heart. That's not a bad way to be. You're just kind of accepting of things that are happening in the universe, and these can be, really positive, good changes. Your current situation right now is that you're definitely feeling that need to juggle things around, whether this be, kind of juggling work, home life, that sort of thing, keeping, just keeping your finances together and just keeping everything all together. So if that's something that you do need to reflect on, maybe start to look around and evaluate, how can you not feel like this next week or next month even? And here comes the new moon where we're going to do a lot of self-reflection right now to decide how to change things so that there's just easier ways to do things sometimes. If you feel like, oh, I just can't get it all done, there's a routine, there's a way that you can set it up and share things with other people in your household. If you live with others, share things so that you don't feel like it's all piled on you if you're feeling that way. At the root of your situation this week is the King of Pentacles. So, well, maybe it's not about money, and maybe it is about, that you can put money towards some things, right? Sometimes money and having it is just a way to make your life a little more convenient. So if there's something that you need to throw some money at, you're definitely the King of Pentacles. You know how to bring in money, you know how to make it work for you. And that's kind of at the root of this, is maybe that you need to just examine those ways in which you can make that work in your favor. All right, in your recent past, here is the Temperance card. So you come into all of whatever this powerful changes for you, feeling very, very balanced. I, I like that but here she is balancing her emotions and the real world. Here he is trying to balance things when it comes to the material world. So you've got these balance. If you got one under control, now it's almost like, oh, I've got that under control, let me get the other real manageable material tangible things under control as well. So I love that you're coming in with that energy. What's on your mind this week? Wow. More twos. And I know she's not a two, but I just see her as two because she's holding those cups. But if you want to look up angel number 222, that might be something that is helpful to you this week. Okay, so this two of swords here is about really thinking through something before you make a decision. So there might be something on the table, something that is coming in for you that you do need to make a decision about, but you're taking the time to really evaluate things. And this could be this also, is that, you're kind of thinking, how does this change my material world? Can I handle this thing, that I have to make a decision about? And how does it affect my heart? How does it affect, my emotions and all of those things? So it's some kind of powerful change. I'm very curious. I'd love to hear in the comments if you want to share, what this might be for you. What's just ahead of you this week is the Page of Cups. So through all of this, you're kind of lighthearted about it and you're having a sense of humor as you're doing this evaluation. It doesn't seem to be something that's really heavy. And it could be a decision about, is this something that's going to bring you more money? More time, more balance, so think about this, but it is ahead of you this week to at least kind of have a sense of humor. Our pages are about a new path, and in this case, it would be about emotions and about things, but there's that fish in his cup, and I always talk about how he's kind of our joker. This Page of Cups is about new things, but kind of being light about it. It's not super super heavy, right? So keep your sense of wits or sense of humor and your wits about you this week. In your advice position, okay, is to think about what's going to bring you your ultimate happiness. What is going to, is this decision that should be easy to make when you start thinking about this? Is this going to make me ultimately happy in the end or not? So, you kind of think about your big goals. And I always kind of see this as a circle. Like we have our big life goals, and it's things that are kind of far out there that, like where do you want to be? Where do you want to be when you're 90? And work backwards from there because, there's times, and I think nobody wants to be on their deathbed in their 90s saying, oh, I wish I'd spent more time at the office or, some of those things that we get involved with that we think, oh, this is so serious. But, sometimes it's more about the people around you. So when you're making those decisions, kind of think out that far in the circle. And then you kind of start narrowing those circles in. And it gets down to your day to day. What are you doing day to day to make sure that at the end of your life, you look back and you go, that was awesome. I had the best time. So that's a lot to say. Your advice is you want to do the thing that is going to be the best for you long term, whatever that might be. Sometimes that's not easy to see also. What is beyond your control this week are lots of decisions here with the Seven of Cups. So not shocked there. I mean, here you are sitting, and I'm sure, when you make a big decision like this, when you've got an either or, it's not only that decision because you're trying to think, well, if I choose this path, then da 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 da, and you've got 10 other things that change. Or if I choose this path, there's 10 things here that change. So that's a lot of things to be thinking about. Again, get some time to do some self reflection and really think about what is it that you want. What is your end goal? Let me grab a sip here. I mean, what is your end goal, not only at the end of your life, but then reel it in? What's your end goal for retirement? What's your end goal for, almost each decade of your life? There's different things that we're all kind of deciding and accomplishing through those different decades. And how does this decision affect maybe the next 20 years of your life or the next year of your life? So bring that circle in and those things start to become clear. Of course, get out a pen and paper. That's always my solution to everything, is really just jot every thought that you're having down. It helps to narrow those decisions sometimes. So what is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid with the Five of Wands? It looks like you're trying to avoid debate and conflict here. I doubt if that's your secret desire, so I would imagine you're probably trying to avoid that. What that means, you'll know. Whoever I'm talking to who's understanding this reading thus far and how it applies to your life, you're going to know exactly what that conflict is, and you want to avoid it. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to do the conflict and let the chips fall where they may, right? What is in your outcome here is, look, I love this as an outcome card. Very close, I believe, to the King of Pentacles. This is the Ten of Pentacles, which is, it's about wealth and security, and in the long term and generational. We've got in this card here, we've got the grandfather here, but there's the younger family, and then you can see the small child peeking around, and everybody's happy, everybody's taken care of. Looks like we're living in abundance. And every again, like I said, you want to imagine the circles, the end of your life, and then reel it back in. So, but your outcome, whatever decision you do make on this, is definitely something that is going to be really good for you long term, it appears. All right, what is hidden from you is the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune is about evolving and things really, really changing. So that's kind of hidden from you, and probably because you haven't made a decision yet. That makes sense to me, that's, you don't know. You've got all these choices to think about, and this choice to make, but all these other things that fall in line with that. So I understand why I wouldn't be surprised to see this in your reading next week. So, all right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. What's a final message here for Taurus as they make this big decision and have powerful change here in their life? And your final message here is to find your backbone. That's such fun art on that card. Find your backbone. There must be something, and maybe you have to stand up to something, or stand, even if it's just yourself, and taking that deep breath and saying, okay, I can do this. I can do this change. And again, find your backbone. Just when you want something, sometimes you just have to stand up for it. What do you need to do in the way of self-care this week? Self-care for Taurus this week. And your card is the card called Growth, with a tree coming out of a house there. Evaluation starts when you leave your comfort zone. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right. Or I'm sorry, evolution. I said evaluation. My light. I need to maybe make that light darker, a little darker. Evolution starts when you leave your comfort zone. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable can sometimes mean you have to put up this your stance in a debate. It means finding your backbone and saying yes, no, however, So I think whatever you decide here, it's going to be good long term. I want you to look up angel number 22, and maybe even 222. I know the temperance card isn't a 2. I see it as a 2. I also want you to look at the tens on the table. 10, 10, and 10. So you might want to look up 3 tens, see what that might mean for you in the angel number realm. That's a lot of powerful numbers, I feel like, that are happening there on your reading. So Taurus, thank you so much for being here. Good luck with all of this. I hope you get to the right decision. And, even though it looks like you've got a lot of things to think about, I think in the end, I feel like you're going to make the right decision for you. That's all you can do in life, right? So if you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a comment down below. I'd be very curious to know what it is you guys are working on, excuse me, this week. Also, anytime I have a little frog in my throat, there might be something that you do need to speak up on this week. And this maybe goes back to this Find Your Backbone card and this possible debate coming up. You might just have to speak your mind. I don't think that most Tauruses don't have an issue with that, but anytime I have a little glitch in my throat during a reading, it makes me feel like that's something you're going to have to do is speak up this week when it comes to something. So where was I? Oh, again, if you want to leave me a comment, let me know, or I'll answer questions if you have any questions about this reading. But also, if you hit like and subscribe, that is something that I would really appreciate from you this week. It really does help me. I think everyone that does that, it pushes me out into the algorithm for YouTube, and I love that. That makes me so happy. So thank you so much for doing that in advance, Taurus, and good luck with all of this. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.